Are you scared by the thought of accumulating your first $1 million? When starting from nothing, it can seem impossible to reach the $1 million threshold, never mind exceed that and achieve the following million. Welcome to Lord Finance, where we are dedicated to helping you achieve financial freedom through education. If you want to become financially free and not have to worry about money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you find it helpful. You might have heard the saying the first million is the hardest, but is there any truth to this? There are actually quite a few reasons that this saying is true. Make sure to stay to the end because you're going to be amazed at the math showing you how quickly $1 million will multiply. Personal finance has been characterized as being 90% conduct and 10% information. When it comes to building wealth, one of the reasons it takes time to get started is that people lack financial literacy. They are unable to save, invest, spend responsibly, or expand their money. Those who have bad financial habits tend to stay poor, and it takes time and effort to change them. Millionaires, on the other hand, know how to handle their money. They know how to save and they know how to invest. They might be great with money now, but surely it wasn't always the case and it took them time to figure things out too. The excellent spending and saving habits they developed continue to benefit them after they cross the millionaire threshold. They are dedicated, responsible, and they know the value of a dollar. Once you develop good habits with money, you begin to make great strides towards your savings goals. When you're first starting to save and invest, you're probably fearful of the possibility of losing money. What if the stock market goes down? What if real estate prices drop? What if I buy at the top of the market? The possibility of losing money can be crippling when it's basically all you have. These are understandable concerns because you have almost no cushion when compared to someone who has already been in the market for a long time. They're not as concerned if the market drops 50% because they've already seen exponential growth. Wealthy people are less fearful because they have a large safety net which allows them to be more aggressive with their investment choices. They can put their money into something with higher risk and higher reward if they want to. Even if they lose money, they're still going to be able to pay their bills. Someone with $5,000 or $10,000 doesn't want a chance losing it because it takes many months or even years to save up. Millionaires are experienced investors, so they have a good understanding of how to preserve their capital as well as increase it. For instance, they won't invest their entire life savings in a single stock that someone advised them to buy, and they won't invest everything in cryptocurrencies. Of course, these people will still be prudent with their investments and emphasize risk and reward. They plan to invest the majority of their funds in profitable investments with a track record, not in speculative real estate, wide market index funds, ETFs, or businesses, because they want to increase their capital. You'd be right to assume that most millionaires have no bad debt or loans that don't make them money. They've paid off most of their debts, so their income is freed up. They're no longer sending payments to the lenders. They're very careful when it comes to using leverage. They might still put money into riskier assets, but they're only going to limit that to a very small percentage of their overall portfolio. If they do have a loan on a car or something, they've decided it's worth utilizing low-interest debt so they can invest into assets that will provide them greater returns than the cost of the debt. Alternatively, they're paying themselves money so they can earn interest on it instead of the bank. In addition to being debt-free or at least free of bad debt, wealthy people often use low-interest debt to their advantage to buy income-producing assets that will far exceed the interest they're paying. This could be financing investment properties that provide a healthy return on investment before reaching the first billion. Most people are focusing on other obligations such as paying down student loans, clearing up credit card debt, and other things that don't necessarily have a big influence on their net worth. Banks love to lend money to people who know how to handle it. Lending to a qualified borrower means the bank is likely to get its money back in addition to some profit. If you're already wealthy, you'll find it easier to borrow money from many things, especially purchases that are going to provide you with a return on your investment. Millionaires have a much easier time borrowing money to purchase a business because they have the assets to fall back on in the event the business fails, and they have the funds needed for a down payment. It's also much easier to borrow money for real estate investments that can further increase net worth. A millionaire has a much better chance of financing a multi-unit apartment building that can substantially increase their net worth. This access to capital, in addition to the knowledge of how to grow it, makes for incredible incredible opportunity. Those with little to nothing saved are going to find it challenging to get a bank to lend them money for either of these things. As you become wealthier, the funds you continue adding to your investments are almost meaningless, but the growth accelerates at an incredible pace and the annual returns are much higher than you earned from working. When you first began investing, your account probably didn't even budge unless you were piling money into it month after month, and even then it probably seemed like it barely grew over the course of 1 year. Take for example a $50,000 investment portfolio which might grow $5,000 in an average year. Compare that to a $500,000 portfolio which could grow an average of $50,000 in 1 year. Further, a $1 million portfolio might grow an average of $100,000 per year. How does that $100,000 of growth in 1 year compare to how much you can personally save when your account is already large? The growth will be almost entirely due to interest, and only a tiny portion will be from your contributions. It makes very little difference whether you continue to let the money compound on its own or if you continue to add to it. Of course, compound interest is the main factor that makes the first million the slowest, and the subsequent millions come much faster, but this isn't possible without developing excellent money behaviors, knowing how to balance risk and reward, and knowing how to invest wisely. Once you accumulate $1 million in your investment portfolio, you could sit back, relax, and not contribute another penny to it, and it would grow very quickly. If it were invested in the S&P 500, earning an average rate of return of about 10%, it would grow to $2 million in 7 years. After 4 more years, it would be worth about $3 million. In about 3 additional years, it would have grown to a whopping $4 million. Without adding another dollar, it grew from $1 million to $4 million in about 14 years. For comparison, it would take between 29 and 30 years for someone starting with nothing, investing $500 per month, earning a 10 annual return to accumulate $1 million. You can really see how powerful the snowball effect can be. The power of compound interest is incredibly apparent once you have an established nest egg, and you'll be amazed at how fast your money grows. If it seems impossible for you to make your first million, much less your second or third, keep in mind that building wealth grows simpler and simpler. Things go slowly at first, but as you make more money, you'll be pleasantly pleased by how quickly they proceed.